In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming pattern. We obviously had a quieter pattern, very hot but quiet over the last week or more. We are moving into a more active pattern, so I want to discuss that today, some time frames to watch for some major storms. Obviously, as a result of more and more thunderstorms, flooding could be impacting some areas, so we're going to be watching for that as well as we reach a lot of people's peak rainy season here as we enter into July. So we're going to be discussing those things. Again, my face cam is not in this video, just like yesterday. I am in a little bit of a rush. We're doing some family stuff today for Father's Day. A lot of people were out of town last weekend, so we're celebrating it today. I do apologize. I'm actually surprised. I got a lot of comments that are like, take your face off the video. So I was actually surprised to see some people commenting like, hey, bring your face back. So I just want to let you guys know what's going on with that. Obviously, I have to get a little bit put together. I have to edit a little bit heavier when I do have my face cam on there. So when I am in a rush like this, it's just not going to happen, obviously. But for a day like today, we're just going to do this. I'm just glad I'm able to get something out for you guys. Let's take a look at tomorrow afternoon on here. Let's see. Monday, the 24th. And we can see that there is, again, this is going to be another hot day. This will be the third one in a row. Today on Sunday is very, very hot. Again, just like Saturday, like deadly hot. So be careful out there. We do see that thunderstorms are just firing up across the Carolinas, Florida, the Northeast here, where they do have an enhanced risk of severe weather. We will look at that a little bit later on, with some elevated chances of tornadoes across, especially Vermont and New Hampshire, which is very rare. So we'll look at that a little bit later on. Something that I discussed yesterday that I want to bring back up is that with this heat, obviously the heat brings more potential for thunderstorms. You expect more chances of thunderstorms in 80s and 90s as opposed to 40s and 50s, for instance, obviously. Now, another factor is that in these very hot temperatures, we're also experiencing very oppressive humidity. Dew points well into the 70s for most areas, 24 hours a day. So through the day, we are seeing dew points that high. Anytime your dew points cross into the 60s, you have a really supportive amount of humidity for thunderstorm activity. When it crosses into the 70s, thunderstorms are almost unstoppable in some spots, and we're inevitably going to see some isolated and unexpected thunderstorms pop up throughout these eastern areas somewhere. So expect chances in between these areas, expect there to be a chance regardless of what you're hearing anywhere else. With dew points and temperatures like this, there just is going to be a couple spots to see some thunderstorms isolated, especially. It might not be anything crazy. It definitely could be, but it might not. But just be on the lookout for some active thunderstorms. I would expect a lot of lightning with the current temperature and humidity that we have. So very, very frequent lightning in a lot of these areas of thunderstorms. So just be on the lookout. Could be some dangerous weather out there for some folks. Let's take a look at Tuesday, where it will be also very, very hot. So again, same thing goes. Chances of thunderstorms. We are seeing the greens pop up for some of the Gulf states, Florida, Carolina coast. Not very surprising. I wouldn't be shocked to see thunderstorms anywhere in here, though, like I was mentioning earlier. From the southwest through a lot of the plains, we do have just a pocket of scattered about and isolated showers and thunderstorms, I would say. So we'll be on the lookout for that as well, of course. By Wednesday, the 26th, this is finally when things are expected to be cooling down a little bit. And what we can see is these lines really show us where the jet stream is. We're seeing a little bit of a dip here in the east, which is going to be indicative of some cooler air trying to move in from Canada, and also some warmer air trying to move northward here for a lot of your Rockies and Plains states. We also see that there is a high amount of precipitation along this cold front area, where the cold air is moving in. So potential for some pretty serious severe weather could be in place, at least very strong thunderstorms, as we have the very hot and humid conditions in place. To see a cool down with a little bit of drier conditions moving through, that's going to be a pretty sharp contrast, and oftentimes it's what we're looking for with these bigger severe weather or even just strong thunderstorm events. So I would say this would be one to definitely watch for Wednesday. And then Thursday as well, we see it across a lot of the southeast with these isolated and scattered thunderstorms, kind of just abroad everywhere for the most part, even some lower pressure in here. So be on the lookout for that. Meanwhile, the west, we are seeing a lot of thunderstorms developing throughout the plains. Also for kind of the monsoon areas of the Four Corner states here, and then some showers and thunderstorms across a lot of your northwest area. We do have a 993 up here between Wyoming and Montana, which is likely aiding in this, obviously. A 999 there over Southern California. Pretty low precipitation, but telling of the overall broad low pressure across a lot of the western states here. So just a lot of low pressure, a lot of storminess happening by mid to late week here for the west as we see a big warm up in place. Friday, we already see that clearing out though, so it really ends in a hurry. We're seeing a lot of these areas get a lot quieter. The activity is meanwhile shifting towards a lot of the northern Rockies, northern plains, and upper Midwest here, where we will be watching for some severe weather, especially here, this 995 underneath this low. I would suspect we would have a pretty elevated chance of some Midwest and plains severe weather here for Friday on the 28th. A little bit far out, so we will take that with a grain of salt, but obviously a chance of something more that we will be watching for in the medium range. Now, across the Gulf and Southeast coast, we still have chances of thunderstorms. Expect this to be nearly daily, where there will just be a slight chance of thunderstorms happening. Again, humidity, temperatures are just really, really indicative of this being a threat. We did have a bit of a cool down for Wednesday and Thursday, but look at the overall jet stream pattern here by Friday. We see this kind of like overall rising pattern throughout the east, a little bit of a trough out west, and this is going to be indicative of a kind of resurgence of this warmth later on in the week. We will look at the temperatures in a little bit, but definitely looking quite warm here in a lot of the eastern states. Saturday on the 29th here, what we see is again 992 there over eastern Canada, cold front swinging underneath, a lot of warmth and humidity prevailing to the east of that, which is very common, by the way, with colder and drier air really forcing its way in behind all of this activity. So, thunderstorms will be a possibility, scattered and isolated here to the east of that cold front in this very warm and humid sector. Now, with the dry air, dry and cold, meeting that very hot and humid, we are again going to have a boundary here, as you can see across a lot of the plains, Midwest, and Great Lakes here, where we will be watching for another chance of severe weather for the weekend. Saturday the 29th here, Sunday the 30th potentially as well, where we see this boundary really stretching out and elongating across the plains, the kind of like the lower Midwest, I guess I would call it, lower Ohio Valley, and then through some of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast where it's a little bit more isolated. So again, another pretty big severe weather threat potentially. Here's Monday on July 1st, and we see thunderstorms throughout the Carolinas, kind of as a result of that cold front still, so some severe weather implications there, still prevalent. And then by Monday, look, a 998 here between the two Dakotas, and then we have a strong frontal boundary here to the east of it, and I would suspect this would be another severe weather threat. So that's like 2 or 3 now that we've seen on this model run. So yes, activity is expected to uptick certainly here, in my opinion. I think the interesting thing is that, you know, it is very, very on par with what's climate normal, you could say, for the upper Midwest and northern plains to be seeing their severe weather this time of year. So this is a kind of hot spot right now, and that is very, very on par with, again, what is normal according to our climate history. So I say this is very, very plausible, even in the long range. By Tuesday, this does skirt across kind of into the Great Lakes, 994 there over the upper peninsula of Michigan. We still have a stretching cold front underneath. Looks a little low precipitation, but also wouldn't be surprised to see some severe weather chances underneath this low if a dragging cold front does ensue, obviously. Again, that would be for Tuesday on July 2nd. Meanwhile, we take a peek at the southeast and we still have chances of thunderstorms there, again, almost daily here. Total precipitation shows the full story. A lot of your more organized systems here start out kind of over the northern plains, and then they move across into Canada here, or alternatively, kind of like closer to the northeast. But that's where a lot of our organized lows are resulting. And I'm going to put it in blue. It might be kind of hard to see, but just for, effect here. But dragging cold fronts kind of result underneath for a lot of these areas, and that's why we get some precipitation underneath there as well. And then we get this kind of surge of warmth, which I'm gonna have to pick a different color for. Maybe yellow would be pretty visible, but we get this surge of warmth, a little hard to see, but for the southeast, and that's where we're getting a lot of the isolated and scattered about activity underneath where that cold front is ensuing. So just to give you kind of a visualization of what this pattern is really looking like and how everybody's getting this activity, this is kind of how I see it for the upcoming 10 days. Now let me switch this back to black, and let's go ahead and take a look at the temperature pattern, where obviously things are hot right now. Again, Monday, another hot day. Tuesday as well is very hot across the east and the west here, but we finally see this cold air mass trying to move in through the north central states, and this will move eastward over time. There's your daily emojis for everybody. As we keep going, we see that cold air does actually reach the east, especially for Thursday, Friday time frame. But look at that warmth make a little quick comeback for the East Coast. This is what we were talking about a minute ago. So we see the warmth and humidity really prevailing up the East Coast. but we do have this dragging cold front and a lot of severe weather chances in between, because we have the blue really encroaching on the orange, which is just what you need for severe weather to occur. So that is what we're seeing around the weekend. That cold air does reach the eastern states, and it does kind of prevail through that entire week, but we see another sign of warmth for that first into the second week of July. So we'll be watching that very, very closely here on the channel. The Storm Prediction Center outlook, let's just take a look at it. For day one, we have a lot going on here. So anywhere in the lighter greens is going to be your general thunderstorm risk areas, and that's where we expect general thunderstorms, again, up and down the East Coast. Everybody has a chance, as you can see. But anything is possible, so still heed every watch, warning, and advisory within there. In the 3 darker green areas, that's where we have a level 1 marginal risk area, where we expect isolated severe weather to be possible. Your 2 yellow areas there is your level 2 slight risk regions, where we expect a little bit more scattered about severe weather. And then for the New England area, for the orange enhanced risk, that's where we have a level 3 enhanced risk of severe weather, with again about 10% chance of tornadoes within 25 miles of a given location throughout most of there. Definitely gonna want to be able to hear those warnings today, as that's a very, very high chance for these regions compared to what we see most of the time. For tomorrow, on Monday, June 24th, here's the look. We again have a very large general thunderstorm risk area in the lighter greens. The 2 darker green areas is going to be your level 1 marginal risk, and then your yellow area there, of course, is your level 2 slight risk again. Let's take a look at Tuesday here on the 25th, and again, that kind of Midwest and Great Lakes area is prevailing, like I talked about earlier. We do see that the general thunderstorm risk area is very large again, with a lot of humidity and high temperatures around. We expect this day over day over day. For the marginal risk area, we see it in the darker green, and then again in the yellow, we have that level 2 slight risk. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Again, we are going to get back to the face cam and rolling out with some heavier edited videos here soon. I'm just having a little bit of a busy weekend. Be sure to subscribe, as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.